Mr. President, I rise today, along with my colleague, Senator Whitehouse, to pay tribute to Sergeant Dennis Weichel, a Rhode Islander who served in the Rhode Island National Guard. On March 22nd, Sergeant Weichel was in a convoy with his unit in Laghmam province, Afghanistan. Some children were in the road, and Sergeant Weichel and other troops got out to move the children to safety. Most of the children moved out of the way, but one little girl went back to the road. As an MRAP approached, Sergeant Weichel pulled her out of the vehicle's path, but in doing so, he was hit by the vehicle. He was medically evacuated to Jalalabad Medical Treatment Facility, where a surgical team worked to stabilize him. But tragically, he died from his injuries. Because of his heroic actions, the little girl he saved was unharmed in the accident, and he will be laid to rest this Monday in Rhode Island. A hero, someone who exemplifies the qualities of the American soldier: sacrifice, selfless sacrifice for others. Sergeant Weichel joined the National Guard in 2001. He was posthumously promoted to sergeant. He previously deployed to Iraq as a member of Detachment 2, Headquarters Company, 3rd Battalion of the 172nd Infantry Mountain. In November 2011, he mobilized for deployment to Afghanistan with the 1st Battalion, 143rd Infantry Regiment. Each generation of Americans is called upon to protect and sustain our democracy. And there are no greater heroes than the men and women who have worn the uniform of our nation and who have sacrificed for our country to keep it safe and to keep it free. It is our duty to protect the freedom they sacrificed their lives for through our service, our citizenship. We must continue to keep their memories alive and honor their heroism, not simply by words, but by our deeds as citizens of this country. Today, our thoughts are with Sergeant Weichel's mother, Linda, his father, Dennis, his brother, Craig, his sisters, Christine and Charlene, his children, Nicholas and Hope, and their mother, Amanda, and his fiancée, Ashley, and their daughter, Madison, and all of his family and friends and his comrades in arms. We join them in commemorating his sacrifice and honoring his example of selfless service, of love and of courage and of devotion to the soldiers he served with and the people of Afghanistan he was trying to help. Sergeant Weichel is one among many Rhode Islanders who have proven their loyalty, their integrity, and their personal courage by giving the last full measure of their lives in service to our country in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and elsewhere around the globe and throughout the years. Today, we honor his memory and all those who have served and sacrificed as he did. Sergeant Weichel joins a roll of honor that includes Rhode Islanders Specialist Dennis Poulin of the Army National Guard, Sergeant Michael Paranzino of the United States Army, Private First Class Kyle Kutu of the United States Marine Corps, Lieutenant Junior Grade Francis L. Toner, the 4th of the United States Navy, Petty Officer 3rd Class Ronald A. Gill, Jr. of the United States Coast Guard, Sergeant Michael R. Whiteman, United States Army, Sergeant Moses Jasmine, United States Army, Staff Sergeant Dale James Kelly, Jr., Army National Guard, Sergeant Brian R. St. Germain, United States Marine Corps, Sergeant Dennis J. Flanagan, United States Army, Second Lieutenant Matthew S. Kutu, United States Army, Lance Corporal Holly A. Charette, United States Marine Corps, Staff Sergeant Christopher S. Potts, Army National Guard, Lance Corporal John V. Van Geisen IV, United States Marine Corps, Captain Christopher S. Cash, United States Army, Lance Corporal Matthew K. Serio, United States Marine Corps, Master Sergeant Richard L. Ferguson, United States Army, Sergeant First Class Curtis Mancini, United States Army Reserve, Captain Matthew J. August, United States Army, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Sharon T. Stallforth, United States Army, Specialist Michael Andrade, Army National Guard, Sergeant Charles T. Caldwell, Army National Guard, Staff Sergeant Joseph Camara, Army National Guard, Sergeant Gregory A. Belanger, Army Reserve. All of these men and women have given their lives in the last decade in Afghanistan and Iraq. It is a role of honor. It is a role that Sergeant Weichel joins. It should be for us a role not just to recognize and to remember, but to recommit, to try in some small way to match their great sacrifice for this great nation. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor.
Senator from Rhode Island.
Mr. President, it is with great sadness, but also considerable pride, that I join Senator Reid today to honor the service of Dennis P. Weichel Jr. of the Rhode Island National Guard, who died 1 week ago today while serving our country in Afghanistan. Dennis's actions in defense of the lives of vulnerable civilians embody the most noble spirit of service, sacrifice, and loyalty found in the hearts of the men and women serving our nation in uniform in the most dangerous corners of the globe. In particular, they reflect the spirit of service of the Rhode Island National Guard, which is the second most heavily deployed state guard in the country. Dennis, who was 29 years old, lived in Providence. He had joined the Rhode Island National Guard in 2001, and he deployed to Iraq in 2005 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom as a member of Company D, 3rd Battalion, 172nd Infantry Mountain Regiment. In November 2011, Dennis mobilized with Company C, 1st Battalion, 143rd Infantry Regiment, 56th Troop Command, to Camp Atterbury, Indiana. His unit deployed forward to Afghanistan just this month. He'd only been in Afghanistan a few weeks when his unit encountered a group of children on its way out of the Black Hills firing range in Laghmam province. The children were scavenging in the road for brass shell casings, which are recyclable for money in Afghanistan. Dennis, a father of 3, hopped down from his vehicle to help move the children safely out of the path of the convoy of trucks and armored vehicles. As the heavy trucks rumbled past, it appears that a young Afghan girl darted back into the road to grab one last brass shell casing. Seeing one of his unit's mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles bearing down on the girl, Dennis reacted swiftly and selflessly, lifting the girl to safety and placing himself in the path of the 16-ton MRAP. I'm sure this was a parent's instinct, and that Dennis had in mind his own children, Nicholas, age 8, Hope, age 6, and baby Madison. Dennis was evacuated to the Jalalabad Medical Treatment Facility, and there he succumbed to his injuries. Dennis leaves behind his fiancée, Ashley, the mother of their 8-month-old baby girl, Madison. He leaves behind his former wife, Amanda, who is mother to his son, Nicholas, and to his daughter, Hope. He leaves behind his mother and father, Linda Reynolds and Dennis Weichel Sr. My deepest and heartfelt sorrows and prayers go out to all of Dennis's family and to his friends. Senator Reid and I will join them this weekend to pay our respects when Dennis comes home for the last time to Rhode Island. Dennis acted with instinctive bravery on that road in Laghmam province. His action reflected the selfless dedication of an American soldier and the heart of a father toward a child. Dennis has been posthumously promoted from the rank of specialist to sergeant, and his family will receive the Bronze Star he has been awarded for heroism. The writer Joseph Campbell once described a hero as someone who's given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. In giving his life to save one small child, Sergeant Dennis Weichel has reflected great honor upon our military and its best traditions, and this great nation and the values for which it stands. He will justly be remembered a hero. I yield the floor.